Make sure all the wispies are not out.
Yeah. What's in that thing?
I couldn't even tell you. At least I washed it. It's like, I wash it maybe once a week, once every 10 days. Who knows?
All right, I'm sure they appreciate that. All right, welcome back to another episode of the 805 Live podcast. I'm Sergio Gonzalez with SG Associates, and I'm here with Courtney Allen.
Yes.
My co-host, and we pull back the curtain on all things real estate here in the 805 and beyond, and we got some good stuff today. What's going on with Zillow? Oh, yeah. Zillow Monster?
The Zillow Monster. Yeah. I don't even know what's going on with it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always been a contention in our industry with Zillow. It's been like a love-hate relationship, I think, since they came on the scene, right? Like disruption of the real estate market, of what their intention was. I think they first played on like, oh, we're not a real estate company. We are a media company. That's what we are. We want to partner with agents. We are, a lead facilitator for you. And we're just trying to improve the consumer experience in the real estate transaction. So that was kind of the story that they told, over these last decade or so. And then recently they just flip-flopped on that, which has been huge news.
Interesting. What? Like, what did they?
So the story was, we're not a brokerage. We're not a brokerage. We're never going to turn into a brokerage. We're always going to need the real estate agents. Well, boom. This, over this last year, all of a sudden now we're a brokerage. Zillow is now buying houses. They're now selling houses. You will now start seeing the Zillow signs out in different, throughout the nation as they continue to expand. And so, how do you, trust the quote unquote Zestimate, right? Mm-hmm. Anymore, because now they have motivation to, manipulate the data that they want, or how they want to spin it to the consumer. It's no longer a, third party, kind of independent, not influenced one way or the other. And there's, unfortunately, over these last years, the perception from the consumer is like, oh, well, Zillow says this, so it must be true, right? Mm-hmm. They're not a realtor. They have no incentive to tell me my price is, the value of my home is too low, or the value of my home is too high. It is, the consumer has been conditioned to, have a baseline on what the Zestimate says. So it's a complete game changer now.
This might be a stupid question, but are they allowed to do this?
Well, they have they filed for the licensing.
Okay.
They got licensed. They're now part of the National Association of Realtors. And of course, they have to become part of the associations in all the different states that they're now licensed in. So they have to now play by the same rules that we do as agents, right? Like ethic violations, all the correct, work ethics and documentation that we have. They now have to abide by those same things. But there are things that, they don't have to necessarily abide by. And so I think that's where a lot of the uproar is, and some of the agents, are still doing business with Zillow, on a lead basis. So, you kind of have to think of it as, again, that love-hate relationship. Like, okay, do I continue to purchase leads from them, or give them a percentage of what that fee might be? And I guess you got to think of it as like, if you own a business and you have a competitor doing the exact same thing, and they're saying, hey, we're generating all these leads. We compete against each other, but I'm going to sell you these leads, or I'm going to ask for a percentage back based on the leads that you want. So do you continue to support your competitor and make them profitable, and you're, sharing in that profit, but you're kind of like feeding the beast at the same time?
Right.
Like you're kind of like putting yourself out of business slowly by like 1,000 cuts, I don't know, like, what do you want to do? So I think that's what a lot of the shift is happening with Zillow, and, they have the iBuyer, and we'll write an offer sight unseen on your property. Well, is their incentive now to give you the highest price or the lowest price? Right? Based on the Zestimate. Right? Like,
interesting.
I think it's the biggest coup in real estate right now. Like, from agents' perspective and what they were told, and over these years on what that relationship was, it's been the biggest coup, I think, in real estate ever.
Wow. How do you think like Apartments.com and Realtor.com are thinking about it?
Well, Realtor.com slept on, they were asleep at the wheel. Okay, number one, the National Association of Realtors used to own Realtor.com and sold us out, to Murdoch on that. And so that's a complete disaster. Fell asleep at the wheel on what Zillow was doing. And Apartments.com is owned by, they got bought by somebody too. I think they got bought by Zillow, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course.
I can't remember. But Zillow owns Trulia. They own, they just bought Showing Time. So they're scooping up companies, left and right for data purposes, for, lead gen, so they can then sell it back to the agents, right? They're now employing agents. So right now they're still, quote unquote, partnering with agents, right? So they're saying, hey, we're going to give you these leads. We want a 35% referral fee for any leads that we give you. And you need to employ all these people in order to keep up with the volume, and we'll keep giving them to you. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to be like, hey, do you like this relationship? Are you making a lot of money? Why don't you just become agents of Zillow and leave your brokerage? Like, that's the next play that's going to happen, is they're going to say, okay, we've got like a sales force now operating, and it's at their expense, right? So, Courtney, I'm going to drive a bunch of leads to you. Do you think you can handle it? Well, yeah. Okay. We want you to make sure you have the right people on your team. You're going to need to staff up ASAP, because we're going to give you 200 leads a month, 300 leads a month.
Wow.
Right? So you need to scale up. You're going to have to increase your coordinators, your assistants, your sales. You're going to have to train them. You're going to do all the work. There's no risk on Zillow, right? Because if you don't perform, they just cut you off and go to the next person. And now you're stuck with payroll, employees, all the time and money that you've invested in. And if you don't perform, you're out.
It's kind of sneaky.
Yeah, it's smart, right? Like, it's genius.
Right.
Right. But I think a lot of people aren't just looking at long-term play there, right? Like, what's the play? And that's the play that I see happening. And it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down.
I was going to ask, what do you think, or how do you think it's going to affect you and your business?
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's still a belly to belly type of business, right? Like, you got to have conversations. It's a contact sport. So, and listings are king. And the way you beat Zillow is being hyper local, right? So Zillow is driven online, right? For the most part, that's how they're generating the leads, is like what you see online, what the Zestimate is and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if you're a hyper local expert in a specific area, right? Like, case example, we are here in Westlake or in North Ranch. Like, when we're selling houses or we have pocket listings, we know who's thinking of selling. We know what values are. We're gonna beat Zillow all day long on what their perceived Zestimate might be, right? Because I've taken listings where, okay, here's what the Zestimate says before I put it on the MLS. Okay, it'll be like 100,000, 200,000 less, right? And then magically, as soon as I put it on the MLS, if I ever get to that point, as soon as I put it on the MLS, magically that Zestimate creeps up within a 3 to 5% valuation like that. How does that happen? You think the market just went up 200, 300,000? No, nothing happened. Nothing changed, right? It's a joke, right? So I take a screenshot of that, I list it live, then I sell it because it could be either more or within a percentage. And then I say, here's what Zillow had this house priced at before I put it on the market. And here's where I sold it at. Right? So you got to compare and contrast how you're ranking, how you're performing against Zillow or Redfin or some of these online portals that the consumers think have the, the final say on what's happening in the market or where values are. You have to document those types of things. Wow. And then use it in your marketing to do that.
Zillow's changing the game. It's making everyone step up.
Yeah, no, 100%. And if you're not, you're going to be crushed for sure. So you have to be able to really position yourself as an authority, as a market creator, right? Like, how are you shaping the market? Right. So when I tell people, look, you're not hiring me just to sell your house, right? You want to sell, anybody can sell your house. I can sell your house. An expert can sell your house. You can sell your house yourself. Really. Okay. But if you want to be you want to break barrier, you want to be that next highest comp, you want to set the bar, raise the bar in the neighborhood and be the one, no one has reached this milestone in the neighborhood. That's when you call me. Right? When you want the absolute highest price, that's when you call me, because we'll take on that challenge where some agents I don't know if that's going to really happen. I really think your house needs to be priced here. And they're scared because they don't want the house sitting on the market. They don't want to just take a listing to take a listing. And if I strongly believe I can take the challenge, and you're going to give me either the time or work with my strategy on how I'm going to make that happen, listen to it, right? Like me, trust me, take my advice, do what I say, I will make it happen. But if you don't follow if any one of those things don't fall into place, it's not going to happen, right? If you don't trust my process, it's not going to happen. If you don't, take my advice, it's not going to happen. If you don't listen to what I say, when I say we need to stage it, or we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to paint that room, we need to, redo this bathroom, or whatever the case may be. If you don't do what I say, it is not going to happen. And every time people that have said they want it and then they don't do it, it hasn't happened. The people that have, it's happened every single time.
Well, Zillow, you better get ready for SG Associates, because they're going to kill it. Yeah. You are going to kill it.
100%. Better watch out.
Better watch out.
Zillow killer.
A Zillow killer. Great way to end the episode.
All right, cool. Well, hey, appreciate you guys joining us for this episode of the 805 Life. Please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and don't forget to ring that bell. All right, see you guys in the next one.
See ya.